Well, good morning and welcome to Monday. Running a little late today. Traffic through town has gotten a little more difficult in the way that I come. I come down Crowley Road. I usually cut across by AZZ and come in the back way to cross over the railroad tracks. However, I'm finding that that may not be the best direction for me to go for the next while as the city continues to upgrade and improve that intersection to the roundabout that they're going to do. So, good morning. It's good to see you guys today. Today I've got state exec meetings, and I've got a meeting that starts here in a little bit. So, just want to share a quick word with you today, and then I need to get off to this finance meeting that I need to attend. But I want to give you 5 things to pray about today, coming off the weekend. First of all, I think that we need to be in prayer for our schools, whether it be daycares, preschools, elementary, high school, colleges. We need to be in prayer for our schools. We need to be in prayer for our students, for the administration, for the teachers, as they are all making difficult decisions and decisions that can change families' lives. And I think that we really need to be praying for them and lifting them up in prayer. So that's one area that I think coming off the weekend, just thinking about it. How can we start our week? How can we make an impact this week? I think we begin to make an impact as we come before the Lord. And as we come before the Lord, what do we say? What do we bring to him? I think that we need to bring our schools and everything involved in our schools, top to bottom. We need to be praying for this. I know where my daughter attends high school, they have 2 cases, possibly 3 on campus, and she's not alone, and it's not the only school dealing with that. I know other ISDs are preparing to return to campus, also discussing whether or not they're going to postpone returning to campus. So there are all kinds of issues involved in this. We need to be in prayer for them. I think the number 2, the second thing that we need to be in prayer for, please be in prayer for us, all of us here at First Baptist Crowley. And I know there are other people that listen in, and their churches are also dealing with, their leadership is also dealing with the next step in opening up. What is that next step? Where do we go from here? We have several decisions that we are praying through, thinking through, and we ask you to be in prayer with us about this next step of opening up as we look at a time frame and what opportunity is there for opening up the Birth to 2 ministry during our worship time at 11:15. And we're also investigating, when do we open up Sunday school classes again to meet at the 10 o'clock hour on campus and not just online. And so there are a variety of decisions involved in that decision as we are looking at the HVAC renovation and remodel, as we're looking at the time frame of that and how many hallways and classes will be down for 3 weeks when that begins. When does that begin? How does that begin? So we just need to be in prayer for that. And I ask that you would be in prayer. If you're affiliated with FBC Crowley, please be in prayer for us as we're making these decisions. If you are not, and you attend another church, pray for your leadership. I mean, they are going through it. None of us have ever walked this pathway before. And so we don't have a tried and true method. We don't have a methodology. We don't have a pattern. We don't have a process. We're not winging it. And yet sometimes it may feel that way. So your leadership's never dealt with this before. And we want to make the best, safest, sound decisions we can make for our people. And every church wants to do that. So I'll just be in prayer for your leadership this week as they're making these different decisions and having to deal with these different issues. Um, for us here at FBC Crowley, number 3 to pray for, I want you please to continue to pray over our worship position. Our personnel committee is charged with that, and they are in review of candidates. They are thinking through that, praying through that, discussing it. And so just be in prayer for them as they are looking through what God wants them to do and how God wants to move forward in our future. So, so be in prayer for that process, and it is a process. Pray for not only the candidates, pray for the committee that is looking at that, and pray for our church as well. We all sometimes come with expectations, sometimes unrealistic expectations of people, and that can cause issues and problems. So I pray that we would be having our knees on the floor and our eyes looking ahead, helping us to think through what's coming and how do we reach the Crowley of tomorrow and not of yesterday. So we just need to be really in prayer for our attitude in this process, not only us, but everybody involved in that. So it's a total church effort. We all need to be in prayer for that. So please be in prayer for these kinds of things. The next thing, number 4, so schools, the next steps in opening up for your leadership at the church you're attending. The worship position here is important, and we need you to pray and give us prayer support in that, and to help us with that. Number 4, I want us to pray for our Deacon family ministry that is going to be starting soon. We have worked through the structure. We've worked through the division of labor with that, and we are communicating more with that. So pray about that with us and help us pray for our guys and their wives as they are looking to minister to 7 or 8 families, and just stay in connection with them to make sure that they are communicated with, they are connected with, make sure that these things happen. It's important. And so I ask that you be in prayer for this ministry and for our deacons as they are stepping into these roles and taking this on. It's a very critical part these days. It can making connections, keeping connections, and helping make sure everybody stays in connection at that time. So please be in prayer. I know I have a couple of deacons' wives listening right now, and a couple of deacons as well. So let's all be in prayer for one another during this difficult time. Now, you may be asking yourself, how come one of these so far has not been for the eradication of COVID? And here's the thing. I think that we need to, I don't want it any more than you do. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be praying that God would remove COVID, but here's the thing that we need to be considering. What if in the removal of it, we fail to learn anything in it? What if the allowance of COVID to be in our lives is to push us toward faith, to push us toward dependence on the Lord, to push us toward different ways of thinking and doing things? COVID has created a lot of opportunities. It's also created a lot of problems, and I don't deny that. However, is it half full or half empty? And that's a personality question that we won't dive into today. But I want to continue to push myself to be looking at things half full. What is the opportunity as a result of this? And so, whether it stays or whether it goes is what does it matter? Are we following God? Are we doing what God wants us to do? Have we asked lately, what does COVID allow for me to do? See, we've been focused on what we can't do, where we can't go, we've been focused on all the negatives of all these things. And I just wonder, how would our lives change? How would our organizations change? How would our news cycles change if we just began asking a simple question? What does COVID allow me to do? What opportunities does it bring? And I know it can't go anywhere. Or, hey, you get to spend more quality family time. I got to wear a mask. Or this is how I show love to my neighbor when I didn't really have great opportunities to do so before. And so we can look at all these other things. Yes, it creates difficulties. Yes, it creates problems. And you can focus on that, and there's no joy in Mudville when you do. However, we can begin asking ourselves, what good can come from this? What opportunities can we have as a result of this? So it's not making my top 5 today. We've talked about schools. We've talked about worship position. We've talked about the next steps in opening up. We've talked about deacons ministering in this time. And the last thing that I want, that I'm just concerned coming off the weekend, the Supreme Court nominee that's coming up, the position that opens up, pray for the Ginsburg family that as they are dealing with the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And it doesn't really matter where you stand in your politics. What she accomplished in her life is something that's incredible. She did some incredible things across her 87 years. She did some incredible things. And I didn't agree with everything she did. However, what she did was incredible. The movements that she made and the opportunities that she has created for generations of women to follow is important, and it is impactful. But and so we need to pray for her family, and we need to pray for our the Senate, and we need to pray for our president as they are going to be considering this. And it is a volatile moment, isn't it? It's a difficult time. Do you want the now you've got people dividing, and I'm not going to go there. You've got people dividing on what should happen and shouldn't happen, and that's not the point. Here's the point. We need to pray for it. We need to pray that God's person gets into that position. We need to pray that we would see the movement of God and the hand of God in the midst of this. And I want us to pray for that. I want us to lift up our senators, both sides of the aisle. Lift them up, pray for them, and pray for the decisions that they're going to be making over these next several weeks. Not to mention the election that's coming up on November 3rd. Not to mention all of these other things that's going on. Not to mention the elections for the midterm elections that are happening as well in the Senate and in the House. So those are my 5 things. 5 things we need to pray for. We need to pray for our schools, everything involved in that. We need to be praying for the next steps that every organization is evaluating and reviewing and looking at. We need to pray for the worship position vacancy at our local church, that we would seek God and seek what He wants and how He wants it done. We need to pray for our deacon family ministry as it's starting up. And we need to pray for the Supreme Court, the Senate, the president, that these are some major decisions that can have decades worth of impact. And so we should not go lightly into these decision-making processes. We need to be on task with this, and we need to be right with this. And so those are my 5 things. You guys have a great day.